everyone, and hi, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Future of Forensics at SDSU. I am Ashley Knuckles-Cuevas, your Director of Forensics and the evening's host. With me, I have the Assistant Director of Forensics and my tech guru, because as you can tell, I'm not great with it, Tim Seavey.
It is great to be here.
So the fall semester of 2020 is quickly approaching, and we wanted to use this event as an opportunity to share our plan for the upcoming competitive year with you all.
So understandably, we've had a lot of questions around what this year is going to look like. If we're not meeting in person, what does speech and debate really look like? So this event is actually an example of just that.
That's right. And in fact, we have already competed in 3 online tournaments at the end of last semester. And I'm sure we will have many more things to be discussing about all of our previous successes and our plans for this later on this evening. Now, Tim will be rejoining us at the end of the event for our Q&A portion. So we'll see you soon, Tim.
Thanks.
Now, in order to share our plans and introduce the SDSU Forensics team and our community, we will ask an alum to discuss their experience as a competitor and coach, then pivot to chatting with our current coaching staff and a few competitors about what events we offer as a full-service squad, what it is like to be a part of the team, and finally, how we will be adapting to the new frontier of online competition. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please like and follow our team's Facebook page so that you can share in all the amazing adventures and accomplishments that we are sure the future will bring. Thanks. All right, to begin this evening, I invited Kendra Straub to speak with us. Now, Kendra is currently the Senior Data Manager at the MAAC project. In addition to working in the nonprofit sector, Kendra has also worked in local government and higher education. She began her collegiate speech and debate career at Northern Arizona University, where she placed 6th in the country for programmed oral interpretation, then became a speech and debate coach at SDSU, and now is an active alumni for the program. Please welcome to the event, Kendra Straub.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful to see you.
I'm repping my
Yes. Represent, and it looks good on you. So we had a few questions that I wanted to ask. So the first one I have for you is, what got you into forensics at SDSU?
Yeah, my career in speech and debate started when I was in high school. From there, I went to Northern Arizona University, competed all 4 years, specifically in individual events. And then after that, I found a coaching opportunity at SDSU. And I was really drawn to the program because students were able to compete in all the different types of speech and debate, from individual events, poetry interpretation, all the way to Lincoln Douglas and parliamentary debate. And so it was a really unique program that really highlighted the importance of forensics and gaining these skill sets for students. So that's how I came here, was just to be a coach.
Awesome. Yeah, I competed in both. And so that's one of the reasons I really wanted it to be that when I became director. So I'm glad I was able to carry on the tradition. So my second question is that you are currently serving on the Forensics Alumni Board for SDSU. So what made you want to join that committee?
I think what really drew me to this opportunity was forensics and speech and debate gave me so many networking opportunities, skill sets that I use in my current career, and it just opened the doors. So I first got started in local politics. It was because of my speech and debate experience. I was able to become a speechwriter for a politician, and now I work for a nonprofit working in data communication, being able to communicate our message. And so I realized that the skills that you gain in forensics impacts people's lives and makes society better in general. And so being an active alumni is a way that I can make sure that other students have the same opportunity, because it really is life-changing.
Absolutely. So my third and final question, because with Zoom and all these online formats, we have very limited time. My final question is, are there any recommendations that you would give to the people about why they should support the SDSU Forensics program?
Yeah, I think that there's 2 major reasons why you should support this program specifically. On a micro level, it makes students college careers. It's an opportunity for them to meet new people, engage with professors, be able to take these concepts that they learn in class and actually apply them and gain those skill sets. So by supporting it, you're creating these opportunities for students. But I also think that there's an argument being said for the macro level where we need more critical thinking in society. And forensics is a great way where people are able to actually engage and think critically. And so one of the things that I constantly do is on Giving Tuesday, I always make sure to the SDSU speech and debate team, because it's a way that we can make sure students have these opportunities so that way they gain these soft skills and can go make an impact on the community, but also so that we create a more critical thinking society. And I think it starts here at SDSU's program. You guys start small.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm always saying that that's a good idea, but it's nice to hear from somebody else as well. And like we said, on the micro level, we get to help students with those soft skills, but we also have the ability to give students scholarship. I know I couldn't have afforded going to college, let alone getting my master's degree, without scholarship funds that I got for competing in forensics. And luckily, SDSU has some wonderful scholarship opportunities. And people can actually now go to our website, which we'll have up later, where they can actually donate to specific scholarships that go straight to students. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for visiting with us, for all that you've done for the program. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Now that we've heard from one of our past coaches, let's transition to our current coaching staff. We have 7 coaches, including myself, who work with students across speech and debate events. To kick us off is our Director of Individual Events, Andrea Nina Sanchez. Andrea competed in both speech and debate events at Palomar Community College, then transferred to SDSU, where they competed for 2 more years. Currently, Andrea is in their final year of completing their MA in Communication at SDSU. Hello, Andrea. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. Let me ask you, why did you choose to coach for SDSU Forensics?
That is the golden question. Thank you for asking that. So I joined because of my love for Interp, but also the promise of SDSU Forensics that I saw both as a competitor and also while I was a volunteer coach before formally joining as the director of speech. More than this, there was a combination of factors that contributed to me joining, but it boils down to the people, the heart of the team, and the strive towards creating a healthy and sustainable community. So firstly, Ashley, yourself, I saw an amazing director of forensics that valued leadership, serving students with equity in mind, creating equal opportunities for students to voice their opinions and to be able to grow in a very healthy manner. And I also valued and really enjoyed seeing that you put an emphasis on SDSU Forensics being a multi-service team. So that way students were able to do both speech and debate and acquire that diverse skill set. Secondly, the students. These are some of the most hard-working students I have ever seen, and they have a strive towards improving themselves both as students in their academics, but they're also always pushing themselves to create better ideas and to, create innovative blocking and to tell their stories in a way that's very unique and also true to themselves. And thirdly, I wanted to be part of this great team. I wanted to be able to work hard to grow as a coach in an environment that does cultivate equity, student wellness, and professional development as well, which is something that Kendra alluded to as well. And overall, everyone's just so lovely. So it's been fantastic to be a part of this team for the past year as a coach, and I look forward to this incoming year as well.
Can I ask you, what is one of your favorite topics? Because we have different topics for IEs, specifically in Interp as well. So what was one of your favorite, or you could say top 2 topics that we had our students compete in last year?
Topics as in like something that the students specifically wrote about, or the event?
Of like one of the poise or one of the poetries or the topic area of the DI.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a fan of everything the students produced. I worked very closely with the duo that Ian and Haley did, which specifically focused on how mental health is handled in the Black community, and what does that look like? How does making mental health and wellness available to individuals who are typically marginalized by society, right, and minoritized and are pushed out of these conversations of mental health. That was a specifically very powerful piece to be able to be a part of, because Haley and Ian were always working towards, how can we better tell these pieces, right? How can we better serve the literature and also make sure that we're communicating these emotions that we are having, right, in relation to this topic, but also that their characters are having as well. And then, of course, we have Renee, who also did a poetry regarding queer identity and also sort of the dark side of pride, as we sort of kind of called it. And that dealt with, queerness and pride specifically as an event or a celebration is glamorized in a lot of ways, but there's still a lot of violence that individuals of those communities tend to face that also needs to be part of the conversation. And I mean, I love, once again, everything that our students come up with, but those are two that definitely stick out in my mind.
Absolutely. And I absolutely agree, because all of our students, and we have this wonderful approach where we don't tell our students what events to do. All those topics have come from our students. And so when you were talking about how we let our students, learn to express themselves and advocate for themselves through their events, it just reminded me of that. So thank you so much for taking the time. Oh my gosh, it was so wonderful talking to you. And thank you for sharing your experiences. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, continuing in the world of IEs, I would like to now introduce our next guest, Natalie Wellman. She is an assistant speech coach, director of platform events, and a first-year grad student. Natalie competed for Concordia University at Irvine, where she had numerous competitive successes. Most recently, she was the tournament champion in both communication analysis and persuasive speaking at the National Asynchronous Tournament at the end of last semester. So please help me in giving a warm welcome to Natalie Wellman.
Hi.
Hi, Natalie. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you too.
So thank you for taking the time. And I wanted to ask you, so not everybody knows this, but you joined your undergraduate team after taking a class with one of the coaches. You didn't have high school experience like a lot of people in the community do. And you just jumped right in. Can you share about the process of being what we call like a walk-on student to a team?
Of course. So I, like you said, joined my speech team the second semester of my freshman year. Before that, I had literally no idea that forensics even existed. I didn't know what it was, didn't know how it worked, nothing. And so I was initially interested in the team, like you said, because the director of forensics was my public speaking teacher. And he told me I should consider joining forensics. And because I enjoyed the public speaking class, I figured I might as well. And so I ended up joining the team. And so that was pretty much like the whole process of actually joining for me. But once I had joined, I was super nervous because I didn't really know anyone on the team. But what I found was that our coaches and our team were so helpful. They explained how to do all the events to me. They checked in on me during practices to make sure I understood what was going on. And they helped me navigate and be successful at tournaments. And it was super great because forensics ended up changing my life in a lot of ways. It taught me how to advocate better, how to research better, and how to empathize better. It also gave me a sort of second family, which I was so thankful for. And it also provided me a lot of opportunities that I probably would have never seen myself doing otherwise, like going to grad school for communication, which I'm doing now. And so I can honestly say that being a walk-on, if someone had told me my freshman year everything that would have happened for me with forensics, I probably wouldn't have believed them. There's so many great things that happened. So being a walk-on was a great experience for me. And so if anyone is remotely considering it, I would really encourage you to jump right in.
Yeah, a lot of people always tell me, like students, when I tell them from my classes, like, hey, you should consider the team. A lot are really scared. They're like, I don't have any experience. And one of the things I really love about our coaches, and one of like our philosophies as a coaching staff, is that we meet our students where they're at, right? Whether you have zero experience, you don't even know what this thing is, or you were competing all throughout high school and you just need to learn how to adapt to the college circuit. So that is so wonderful that you had that experience and you had a coaching staff that was so supportive of you. And I mean, I'm happy that you got into this because I get to have you as a coach on my team. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us, Natalie. And I really am so excited to see what you get to bring to the team as a coach this coming year. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Now we will move over to our final IE coach, Jordan Kay. Jordan graduated from UC Irvine, but he competed at Saddleback College, where he also coached forensics before joining us at SDSU. Please help me give a warm welcome to Jordan Kay.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jordan. How are you?
I'm excited to be here. Really excited to get started.
Living the dream, right?
Right.
So first off, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having
And a lot of people think that forensics is just public speaking and debate, but you participated in the interpretive events or acting events. So I'm a little partial because duo and DI are actually what I competed in high school and what got me into this activity. But why did you choose to do those events specifically?
Well, the short answer is that DI was the first event I saw when I walked into the forensics team. I had done zero acting before this, but I saw this competitor just do this incredibly honest performance of this DI. And it didn't feel like it was a speech, if that makes sense. It felt like there was this person sharing this story with me, and then talking about how the themes of the piece affected their lives. And I think that that's really the beauty of these interpretive events, is they allow us to kind of take a breath. There's just this relaxation, and we can enjoy the conversation that this character is having with us, and we can see ourselves in them, and we can see our flaws in them, and we can see our tragedy and also our joy. And I think that that's really the beauty of these interpretive events and why they're so important.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't understand this, but you just talked about it, which is they talk about how these pieces affect lives and the argument. So a lot of times when we have interpretive events where we do have this acting, instead of just leaving it up to interpretation, we make an argument as to why this piece of literature is so important. And I'm reminded of one of our students' pieces of making the argument that we need to be looking at different communities and seeing how they are affected by different problems, right? So that is an amazing opportunity. So do you think that the interp events are like, how could you tell us a little bit about how interp events are different than acting in terms of like when students present? Are they getting in costumes? Are they putting on makeup?
Right. Well, a little makeup never hurt me, but so really the point of these interp events is not only that you're doing these performances and that that's beautifully acted, it's also about the argument of the piece. So usually what will happen is a competitor will go up, do about a minute of their piece, and then close their book, and then kind of discuss the themes of the piece. Why is this piece so important? And then as they do the rest of the event, you get to see how that argument affects the character. And then obviously as the audience, we are seeing ourselves in this character and how we can take these lessons and apply them to our own lives. And that to me is the beautiful part about that activity, is we are not only enjoying this art, but we're learning something, and we're taking these lessons with us so that when we encounter these situations, we know better.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your thoughts. And we're so excited that you are joining us on the team as a coach. And I look forward to seeing you at practice in just a couple weeks.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Now that we have had a chance to meet the coaches, let's speak with some competitors. Haley Stone was a walk-on student her freshman year and qualified for nationals at her very first tournament. Haley has been an amazing competitor and team leader, which is why she was appointed as president of the team for this coming competitive year. Please help me in welcoming Haley Stone.
Hi.
Hi, Haley. Oh, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
It's been a long summer.
Yeah, it is.
So, Haley, I had a question for you. You participated in high school forensics and were successful at the local and national level. Now that you're a sophomore and team president, you've adapted to college competition pretty quickly. I mean, you qualify for nationals in one tournament. Thank you for making me look so good. What advice would you have for incoming students that are trying out collegiate forensics?
So if you're interested in joining forensics, I would highly recommend that you reach out and get to know some of the coaching staff or even some people who are already on the team. And you can do that by emailing some of our coaching staff or visiting their office whenever we get back to in person, or even coming to practices either virtually or in person. That way you can kind of get a feel of the team. You can ask any questions that you may have. You can also interact with the best coaching staff and team members to learn more about all of these super cool debate, speaking, and acting events. And it'll definitely just help you gauge if forensics is something that you might actually want to do. I'd also recommend that coming to some competitions might be useful if you want to really see what it's all about. And some other quick advice I'd recommend would be that if you do join the team and you do go to compete, try speaking about issues that you are passionate about. I mean, you have your own platform, so make sure your voice is heard and maybe even use that chance to give a voice to the voiceless, you know? As well as get to know other competitors from other teams because they're super cool, and have fun.
And you actually met Natalie last year when you were competing. And that's actually how I heard about her to begin with, was you telling me about her ADS because you were in the same round. So it's so true that it creates a community that creates all these different opportunities. So yes, you could email us as the coaches. We also have an interest form on our website. So if you are interested or you know somebody who might be interested, send them to our forensics webpage. Through the School of Communication, we have an interest form and a coach will reach out to you as soon as possible. Haley, I had one more question for you. So you compete in speech events, and you adamantly will not compete in debate, even though I know you'd be fantastic because you got an A+ in my argumentation class, but you still go and watch debates. Why do you go and watch other people doing events you don't even compete in?
Because it's interesting to watch, like, how other people have grown over the season. Like, sometimes I go to watch a debate round, like at our first competition, and then I see the same competitors, like, as we get closer to nationals, and it's super cool to see the growth that they have and everything. So I just go and watch debate because even though I don't do it, it's still good to know, and because you're part of the team and other people on your team are doing debate. So yeah, it's just good to see other events that you don't do, because you might end up doing it someday. You never know.
Yeah. Do debaters come and watch your rounds, like your final rounds and stuff?
Sometimes if they're not running
And around themselves. Yeah. No, I absolutely love that team culture that really you and Jenna just kind of created on your own without us having to tell you to do it. And that's another reason why, like, coming to practice and talking to people and seeing whether or not you vibe with us and if like you would be a good fit and if we're a good fit for you. I really like that recommendation. Haley, thank you so much for sharing your experience and all of your really good advice with us. And I am so excited that you get to be president this year and that we get to have another wonderful year with you competing for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Our next competitor also began competing her first year at SDSU and was recruited by her public speaking instructor, who also happened to be a coach. Renee joined the team and quickly found her stride in poetry and impromptu speaking. She broke in both events to finals at almost every tournament, and she will be serving as the vice president of our team this year alongside Haley. So please help me in giving a warm welcome to Renee Owens.
Hello, nice to be here.
Hello, Renee. It's so wonderful to see you.
You too.
It's been too long, but
It really
it is wonderful that we have this technology to bring us back together.
Yeah.
So I had a question for you. As one of the newest members of the team, already winning numerous awards in different genres of events, and you hadn't competed in high school, what is your favorite part of participating on this team?
It's the community, 100%. Nate, was so amazing in recruiting me and really helping me get started and feel welcome. And all the coaches have been really amazing in teaching me different things and different ways to look at things. And even the community outside of SDSU. And I've just been so welcomed, even though I don't have any high school experience and I'm pretty new. Haley, in particular, has just been so welcoming. And as vice president, I'm excited to support her.
I know you all will do great. So where do you see yourself competing or participating this year? What events are you thinking about participating in?
Well, if we ever get back to in-person and only in person, I would be willing to try debate.
We're all excited. The entire coaching staff has been pushing for this.
Not over Zoom. I'm not going to learn debate over Zoom, but next year or whenever we get back, I'll try it out.
I appreciate that.
But of course, I'm going to STEM. There are really advancements in science that I want to talk about with Intiv. And I really love impromptu, and I will go further with that.
Now, I wanted to ask you one more question, and that was, you had mentioned working with the coaches. Do you just work with one coach, or did you have multiple coaches helping you on different events, the same events? How did that kind of shake out?
I had multiple coaches for even single events. I worked with Nate and Andrea and you and Tim a little bit for my poetry. And it's amazing because you get coaches who don't even necessarily agree with each other on details, but they all want you to do well. And so if you can kind of pull what works for you with a variety of different sources, it can really help you do things that you hadn't even considered before, and a lot more than just what one coach can do for you.
And did any I remember multiple times where I was like, this is what I think, but you do what you want. And like, you get to make that choice. Does that make you, was that helpful in making you feel empowered about being able to advocate for different things?
Yeah, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking at first, but
you're like, just tell me what to do.
But once I settled in, being able to speak from experience and know exactly what I wanted to say, it was amazing just to be able to run with it in my own way.
That's wonderful. Well, Renee, you have been a wonderful addition to the team. I'm so glad you're sticking with us. You're not tired of us yet, and we appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
too. Thanks so much.
Now, having been a competitor myself in all of the events, it was extremely important, like I said earlier with Kendra, that when I became director, I wanted SDSU to continue to be a full service squad. So in that light, now that we've spoken with IEs, let's hop on over to debate. The first person we will speak with is our director of debate, Max Grosnick. Now, Max is a second-year grad student who competed in debate in high school, then continued his competitive career in college, where he competed in parliamentary debate for Texas Tech University. So please give a warm welcome to Max Grosnick.
Howdy, Ashley. It's a pleasure to be here.
Howdy, or good morning. So Max, it is wonderful. Thank you that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know being a grad student is exhausting, but I had a question for you. And that is, what is it about debate that keeps you coming back to the activity after high school, after your undergrad, for more in grad school?
Well, what doesn't really? I think personally, debate has the fortune of occupying a really unique space within higher education. It's one of few remaining funded competitive academic activities, and it also, at least at San Diego State, has a very rich institutional history. And what I've discovered in the classroom is that one of the hardest things to teach, especially to fledgling academics and soon-to-be professionals, is the interrelated and interdisciplinary nature of learning, and really just maybe the world itself. I think we go into school and each major tracks students to learn how to specialize, fill gaps within society, and develop expert knowledge that other people don't have, but it often fails to illuminate the whole picture. And debate, more than any other academic activity I've encountered, teaches students not only how to make connections across what are sometimes vast academic divides, but also how to do so in a way that's personally impactful to them. Debate, for many students, is the first time they experience the undivided attention of an audience when they speak. Debate is often the first time that students are told that what matters to them is impactful, instead of being told what should matter to them. Debate teaches students not only where and how academic conversations are happening, but that they can make themselves meaningful contributions and speak up just because of what they've learned. They're taught that the way they've come to these conclusions, which is frequently a mix of their education and lived, very personal experiences, is a valid and genuine way of understanding the world. And watching students rediscover week after week, day after day, their love for learning, even if it's, disguised as a love for competition, is one of the most impactful moments of my week, every single week. It reminds me not only that what I do is important in a broader sense of the world, but that right now, as a graduate student, I'm capable of helping and making an impact every day. And debate, now more than ever, in an increasingly uncertain world, teaches students how to be effective, educated, ethical citizens. And at San Diego State, we ensure that students get access to specialized one-on-one attention for no additional cost. We let them learn creatively and dynamically in small group settings. At elite private colleges, you're charged upwards of $52,000 a year for classes that average 12 people. At San Diego State, due to our tremendous alumni and institutional support, we do it for free. And you know what, Ashley? That keeps me coming back.
I remember when I first talked to you about joining us because you were offered a position at another institution. I was telling you about our program and what we offered, and I remember you said that you really liked that we wanted to help our students learn how to do these things without charging them, and that you thought that was really neat. So I'm with you on that. One thing that I did want to ask you is, you talked about how debate allows for us to bridge between multiple areas of research. So I know that there can be debate cases on nuclear energy or alternative energy resources, and then you can flip to having a debate about philosophy, or they can actually be the same debate. Could you talk about how you find, or how some of those unique intersections can manifest?
Nuclear energy is a surprisingly pertinent example, I think. This past year, we had debaters in Lincoln Douglas debate talking about the benefits of nuclear energy as an alternative to traditional fossil fuels and other CO2 emitting means of energy production, which has very immediate technological concerns, right? What is brought to mind is nuclear meltdowns. We're afraid, Chernobyl was a very popular and successful HBO series, as well as a cataclysmic event in Russia. So we talk about the technology, but to talk about it in a genuine sense, right, we have to talk about the economics of it, how much it costs. We have to talk about the political effects, right? There are states that produce tremendous amounts of coal that would not be the same if nuclear energy was put into place. But we also have to talk about the philosophical implications, right? We have a storied history of dumping nuclear waste in traditionally indigenous lands, right? This becomes very quickly an axiological question of what actually is ethically pertinent, or what values, or what we should value. And at the same time, debaters find ways to bring in film criticism and strange legal jargon to make their argument in the way that matters to them, while also being persuasive to one of the widest ranges of people that you could possibly imagine.
That's awesome. I always have people ask me, so what do your students talk about? Like, do they talk about politics? I'm like, well, that's part of it. So it's always fun to say, yeah, they talk about nuclear energy. And they're like, what? And our students know they have to learn about the chemistry and the science behind all of it as well, because sometimes it's an issue of which type of reactor are they going to be utilizing. And I think that's a fantastic thing, because we have students who are engineering majors and poli-sci majors. And I think we really do, just like you said, offer that unique intersection. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective and for giving that insight, Max, and for choosing SDSU.
It's been a pleasure.
Our next guest is our Assistant Director of Debate, McKay Parsons. Now, McKay competed in parliamentary debate for Lewis and Clark University, where they had an ample amount of success competitively and academically. Please help me in welcoming McKay Parsons. Hello, McKay.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. So you did come from the Pacific Northwest, and now you're down here in San Diego. I'm so sorry that it's so hot. I did not want that.
I have air conditioning. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. And a fan. That's always necessary. So I wanted to ask you, what was the best thing about competing in debate for you? And will you try to incorporate that into your coaching? And if so, how?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to start coaching because I learned so much being a debater that I never expected to. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi to see if that helps my lagging. There we go. As I'm planning my argumentation class right now, I've been reflecting a lot on the real world skills that I got out of doing collegiate debate. So like in debate rounds, something I've been thinking about is discussing political and social issues that hit close to home, like the emotional intelligence that's required for you to effectively engage in a conversation about something that is important to you or even important to other people is incredible. I mean, being able to take responsibility for harm that you've caused, as well as communicate that somebody else has caused harm to you in a 7-minute, 8-minute speech is really difficult, and something that I've seen myself take into my personal life, into my professional life, and I'm really grateful for that. So another takeaway that has been really impactful to my development as a human being that I've gotten from debate is being able to advocate for myself and others. I think that one of the ways that I chose to engage in debate rounds was through the naming of injustices that happened in the community, at tournaments, and other spaces, and then also proposing ways to fix those issues moving forward. And it gave me the confidence to stand up for myself and others and advocate for things that I find important, as well as encouraged me to actually like seek feedback on ideas that I had and not be scared and get defensive when folks said like, actually, I don't think this would work, or you're not thinking about this, or, you know, like bringing up really valid things that have shaped my political views and my views of what, you know, method we should use to fix social issues moving forward. And I think that is such an impactful thing, and it was an impactful thing when I was in college, and now it's especially impactful and I think timely. And this is a great activity to get involved in if you care about social issues and advocating for others, because it gives you the skill set to do that in a way that really impacts change in the future. So obviously, as a coach, I really want to bring all of this to students. I think that competitive success is good. I think that real world lifelong skills is even better. And, the years that I did really well in debate were really fun, but the years that I didn't win every single tournament, I learned so much from. And I'm almost more grateful for those than compared to the years that I did better competitively, just because I learned so much about myself and the world around me. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I frequently tell all of you when I first introduce you or introduce myself or introduce our program when you're being recruited that I really don't care about the trophies, because if we're teaching the students to have fun and if they're advocating for what they believe in and they're really working at it, the trophies will come, right? That will happen at some point, which has been proven with all of our awards. But I think the thing, like you said, that keeps students coming back and keeps coaches coming back is that we love the idea of being able to advocate for things. And you talked about being able to have really tough discussions. I know that in debate rounds that I judged and even that I competed in, and a couple that I've watched when I judged you as a competitor, there were very difficult conversations about race inequities and about gender inequities and various other issues, even talking about mental health in the community and how we engage it with each other, how that manifests. So do you think that debate, because a lot of people think debate is combative and really angry and that we're just yelling at each other. But you seem to say that it helped you learn how to engage in that discussion in a more civil and productive manner. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that I grew up in a very passive culture. I think so. I grew up in Idaho, and I think something that was often discouraged was direct confrontation and conversation, which is like a very specific form of communication that doesn't work very well in a professional setting, in a setting where you're trying to have conversations where you're disagreeing with somebody else. And I think debate at first is really scary because it mandates disagreements, but I also think it gets you used to not just shutting down and getting defensive, but instead thinking through like, okay, like I have to listen to the argument that the other person is saying so that I can engage with it and not just write it off, because as soon as you write it off, you've lost the round. And if we're all here, to be competitive, then it encourages you to really monitor yourself and make sure that you are paying attention and engaging in a productive way. Even if you're yelling, sometimes it is productive. I've seen a multiplicity of rounds where, sometimes it's really intense, sometimes it's not. And I think being able to be in any of those rounds and be successful in any of those rounds is such an important communication skill for the future.
Yeah, and I think that debate, especially since we have students having to debate on both sides of issues, it really helps them learn. You talked about like not shutting down, because too frequently when people get into discussions, like political discussions, especially with what's going on right now, a lot of people take discussions or an argument personally instead of seeing that it's an argument about an institution or a structure. And being able to separate from that does help us try and find better solutions. So I absolutely agree. And I'm so excited that you get to teach an argumentation class. I know you've been really looking forward to it, and I know you will do great. So thank you for taking the time to be with us, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Our final guest is Jenna Canan, who competed in high school and joined the team on her first day of college and my first day as director. Jenna has literally been with me since day one. Jenna competes in both speech and debate events, and she qualified both extemporaneous speaking and NFALD debate to nationals this year. And at the asynchronous nationals tournament, she ended up taking second place in extemporaneous speaking. So please help me in giving a warm, wonderful welcome to Jenna Canan.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Jenna. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too. I'm good. Just living life.
Living life. So many forensics competitors are scared of participating in debate. And I know you've had to have a conversation like that with multiple people who have tried recruiting. So what makes you enjoy the activity that so many people are kind of scared of?
Well, first and foremost, I'm an Aries, so I love confrontation. I'm kidding. I really don't
That answers everything.
And so it was interesting that I really love debate. I think it's awesome that you're able to learn about the world without realizing that you're learning about the world. You can get most of the same information out of like writing a research paper, but it doesn't feel the same. It's just a fun activity where you get to have conversations about like how the world works and what would happen if maybe we tried this way of solving an issue instead of that way. And yeah, it is great.
Awesome. So what would you say to students who are interested in trying it out, but are kind of intimidated by the perceived adversarial nature, and not just perceived, there is some heated conversations because we all want to win, nature of debate?
It definitely does get heated sometimes, but I would say it's not as adversarial as one would expect. Like I said, I really don't like confrontation. And so if it was that way, I probably wouldn't have stuck around as long as I did. Most people are out there genuinely to just have a cool conversation, again, about just how the world works and how we can make it better. Yeah, I would say don't be afraid of the of any sort of like argumentation. I would say even if there is a little bit, that might be great. Like, you know, you and McKay were saying couple minutes ago. That type of conversation is really great, and that's how change comes. You're challenging not only your ideologies, but you're helping someone else challenge theirs and grow, and again, just become a better global citizen.
So I know that you are a poli-sci major. You are not a communication major. So since you don't get course credit for this, has forensics helped you at all in your classes and in your academic journey?
100%, like without doubt. I would say first, it really helps in writing research papers because either one, you just become better at researching. You know how to type in specific keywords and what to look for in an article. But also, when you are collecting that information for a case, you already have it. So let's say you have a topic about, I don't know, climate change. I wrote a couple different research papers about climate change. And as we noted earlier, people that did Lincoln Douglas talked about energy and the effects that would have because of climate change. So yeah, it is very, very helpful.
That's awesome. So you're able to take research that you do in the team and it helps you in your academic work, even if it seems like it's not in the same ballpark in terms of academic studies. That's awesome. Could you tell me, because I really loved your extemp speech from this last tournament, could you tell me what the topic was? Because a lot of people wonder what our students talk about in those events.
So the last speech that I gave, I talked about whether or not we should build the Nile Dam and who would benefit from that. It was very, very, very interesting, and it forced me to think outside the box because we weren't dealing with realistically Western countries and Western news sources and Western ideologies. And so it challenged that, and it was very, very, very interesting. I had never heard about the Nile Dam before that. So yeah.
That's awesome. Neither had I, and I was like, wow, you learn something new every day. But I also know that you are looking into doing some work, like possibly getting a job after you graduate and looking into like that region of the world. So do you think that that was helpful in helping you get like a different perspective and being able to shift your mindset a little bit?
100%. Not only did it help shift a mindset and kind of force me to genuinely like think in a completely different way because it wasn't what I'm used to and what I grew up around. That being said, I would say that it also really, really helped me in kind of learning international relationships and the history of countries. I feel like oftentimes people don't think about what that would like an impact that would have on future policy, but really that's what this issue came down to, was the histories of either country and them literally just not getting along, and that's why they couldn't reach an agreement. So
yeah, one of the LD topics when I was a competitor was about the Greater Horn of Africa, and I learned all the different countries in that area. And far too frequently in our Western education, we just kind of group entire regions together, and we lose sight of the unique socioeconomic, cultural, and historical identities of these different groups. And we don't just talk about the United States, we talk about the entire global community, which is really a unique situation for us. So Jenna, thank you so much for sharing your experience, for hanging out with me.
It was fun. It was fun.
And I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. So SDSU Forensics has a rich history dating back over 50 years, which has led to the wonderful legacy of coaches and competitors who have become our amazing alumni, like Kendra Straub, who have helped us so much over the years. And during these times that we're in need of your support more than ever. So now, one thing that's even more interesting and more wonderful, like I was speaking about with Kendra, is that you have the choice of how you would like to support our program. And that is through different scholarships and funds available on our webpage, which is right here. Thank you, Tim.
I wanted to share that. Yeah, and it's important, I think, that you mentioned earlier, but these funds go directly to our program. They directly help, travel funds, entry fees, even student scholarship, like some of the folks we talked about before. And I think that there are few other opportunities that you get to do that. I know a lot of private institutions, you can donate to the school at large and hope that your money gets where you want it to go, but these directly impact our team and our community. So I think for all those people that are watching that have been impacted by forensics in some way or another, either you competed a long time ago, or you're a current competitor, or you've coached, or whatever your experience with it, if forensics really had an impact on your life, we would really ask that you continue to help that community thrive in the SDSU Forensics team.
Now, looking to the future, I would like to share with you all that we will be having another event in October called the Evening of Debate, where we will be discussing 2 propositions that will be on the November ballot. It will be in the exact same setup, kind of like this, and more information will be posted on our Facebook page and on our website. We will also be attending our first tournament on September 26th and 27th. This will be a synchronous tournament, meaning that it will happen synchronously, or at the same time. It will be happening live. So that is an amazing challenge that our community has had some amazing people be able to figure out how to make that work. And Tim has been working tirelessly and selflessly to make that happen. So we really appreciate all of that work. So I recommend that you keep an eye out on our Facebook page for new photos and results and new stories and experiences. And while this year's competitions may look unlike any other that we've seen before, we are excited to be adapting, improving, and growing our program. And we hope that you will continue to join us along the way. Now that we're done with our presentation and all of our speakers, we would like to open it up for any questions from the audience that they may have.
So I think we got one actually already from our previous guest, from our alumni, Kendra Straub. So we'll put that up here. So she says, how does forensic participation impact student graduation rates, school achievement, GPA, and job opportunities after school? I know I know that you competed all through school, through high school and college, and now that is quite literally your career. So there's definitely that path. And there are a lot of competitors that go on to be coaches, but I think there's so much to be said for how the skills really translate. And actually we had, funny enough, another one of the folks that was watching already answered that question almost for us. So Kyle wrote that I would like to add that debate participation aligns exactly with the skills advocated by Microsoft as part of the 21st century learning. That's 100% the case, right? Like when we have engineering students and we have students in all disciplines, there is no supplement for effective communication. And that seems to be the number one demand that employers have post-college experience, is those soft skills of communication. And I think especially in now, in today's culture, realistic, civil, engaged, and thoughtful debate. I think that kind of argument that there's almost a fear of any kind of conflict because it would just go nuclear right away, right? Like, no pun intended, that can be a real problem. Like when people are afraid to engage in dialogue or engage with people with whom they disagree. So instead, having the capability to, build those skills and get comfortable with it, I think is one of the most powerful, pieces of it. So at an academic achievement level, your ability to participate in the classroom, but also, just how easy research papers get. I know that after competing in extemp, it's like, oh, wait, I have a week to do this?
I have 30 minutes.
It's like, yeah, we're good. It's no big deal. I was talking to Jenna that was on before with us about that. Her experience within extemp was very much the same. So I've seen a pretty strong correlation between all those things. But what about yourself? Any other experiences or things that you've seen come out of forensics and impact in those other areas?
Well, I think internally in forensics, SDSU, like a few other programs around the country, does offer graduate teaching assistantships. Now, SDSU is unique in that our GTA positions, which all of our coaches, except for Tim and myself, are GTAs, they get to teach their own classes at a 4-year university right off, which is unheard of. And being able to, I get to help them develop their curriculum and figure out how to do the teaching thing, and getting that experience if you want to go into education or academia is completely priceless. And it also translates to other areas and other jobs. So I obviously stayed in this. I can't get out, but there are a lot of individuals who have gone on to many different careers. My husband's debate partner from college actually is now a PhD who tours around the country talking about microbiology research. And another one of his partners from community college actually is the head translator for California, a California representative. So these skill sets transfer just about anywhere to just about anything. So invest in us, you're investing in the future.
And, I actually got one other question before, and that was related to how debate is really going to function in this coming semester and this coming year. And I know that this very activity is kind of an indication that we are still very active. We're still getting to work together. We're still getting to do debates. As you mentioned before, we've already competed in 3 tournaments, some that are synchronous, some that are asynchronous, and have more coming up. But as far as practice, what does participation in the team mean? Because it used to be the case that someone was welcome to show up at any time. It was both a club, it's a registered student organization, as well as a class. You can get credit, so people could just pop in. What does that look like for practices, and what does that look like for tournaments, coming up?
Well, we are offering, again, it's still an open door policy.
Right.
I invite people all the time to join, and we are going to be posting the links to our practices. There will be password protection because of Zoom bombings, but we're still encouraging people to just stop on by, reach out to us. Another thing has been, we completely redid our website. And that was knowing that we were having to transition to this format. It's really just a great way for people to hit that interest form so we can get you the information of how to meet with us, speak with us. Most of the time, I'm the person who emails back to a person who's interested and says, hey, do you want to get on the phone or do a Zoom call? Let's figure out if this works for you and for us. In terms of participation, students are still going to be coming to practice synchronously or live, and we are able to break out into multiple rooms. So for the first time ever, I'm not having to scramble to find a classroom to debate in.
Yeah.
We have infinite rooms in Zoom. And I was really worried that we were going to lose the community aspect of it, but we are a resilient community, and human beings are in general. But I had 3 students join the team last year in a post-COVID situation. So they had never come to a single practice that was in person. and they both joined the team, and they both went to a tournament and did really well, and they loved it. And, you know, I think that just goes to show how amazing this activity is, and that we can overcome just about any challenge.
Yeah, I was blown away to be working with students that I had not seen in the classroom, and we were working with them in just virtual practice. That was the first time we met. And then they go to virtual tournaments, and then they're winning the awards. Like, how, this is amazing. So it was very scary at the beginning, as everyone was, but once we kind of figured out, yes, we can do this, and we've been here for, 50 plus years at this point, like,
Not me personally.
Not going to stop us at this point.
I'm too young for that. I'm too young for that, Tim.
Right.
But the other thing is, yeah, our students also, in line with how we support our students, some students don't have access because of economic concerns. Like, I grew up I'm a first generation college student. I did not come from a background with a lot of finances or financial opportunities. And so it's really important to me that we support our students. And we have used some of our funds to buy webcams, lapel mics, computer stands, and even some computers to give to students who otherwise would not be able to participate and compete. So anyone donating does help those students. Even if you're not giving to a scholarship, we are making sure that we prioritize our students' ability to access this and do well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I know that we'll be posting up, as we already have in the comments, links so you can check out the website that I know that you and the development team have worked so hard on in helping to grow this entire opportunity, as well as links to the places that people can donate. So it's keeping the program going and even participating and checking out also on our social media, being able to see what we're doing and getting to participate in live events like this, as well as the exciting, upcoming stuff with the election and different ballot initiatives. So any other, last words or parting things you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say, first off, thank you to our administration, to Dr. Heather Canary, who's the director of the School of Communication. And I am extremely lucky to have a boss and an administration and a department that is so supportive of these kids and this activity. And even just asking about how the students are doing and being encouraging and trying to encourage students from their classes to join the team has been invaluable. So thank you to our amazing faculty and supportive community. Thank you to our development team, to Elise and Jordan. They are phenomenal, and they are so encouraging, and they believe in us. And even when I don't think it's possible, they're like, yeah, you're doing a good thing here. You're right, we are. But I think the final thing I would like to say is that speech and debate at its core and at its heart is about learning and about advocating. And that's what we believe in here at SDSU. And I fundamentally believe that we need to be really working on our ability to advocate and learn about ourselves and each other, and ultimately just being kind to each other. So if I could say anything, be kind to yourselves and to each other, my friends. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. And until next time, we will catch you up on all the other socials online. Thank you again so much for putting this on, Ashley.
Thank you, Tim. See you later.